Hey there, it's Liv, Chief Food Wizard at Apocalicious. Today we're staying home because, well, it's the law. Whether you're coupled up, thrupled, single, or just not that into anything, we have an easy but delicious recipe for you to try today. Our Netflix and chili. Pretty much anyone can dig into this delicious chili because it's free of major allergens, is gluten-free, vegan, and is made entirely out of pantry items and condiments. It's a great meal that you can make with minimal supplies, minimal effort, and it reheats well, so it's great for binging while binge-watching. It also feeds a crowd of 5 or less, don't gather. And it tastes amazing. I know you're gonna love it. If you'd like to print or save the written recipe, be sure to visit our website, apocalicious.com, to get it. Also be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. We'll share a new recipe video each week. All of our recipes will be made with pantry items, shelf-stable foods, and occasionally foods we'll teach you how to grow for yourself. Now let's make this thing. Remember friends, we're all in this together, even when we're standing far apart. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay frosty. Okay, let's talk ingredients. We're using a variety of canned ingredients today. The first ingredient is crushed tomatoes. These are canned. Alternatively, you could use whole canned tomatoes and crush them like your dreams of a summer vacation. We're also using a can of red kidney beans, a very large can of green lentils, about a cup of canned coconut milk. If you don't have or like coconut milk, you can replace it with a non-dairy yogurt or a vegan sour cream. 1 yellow or white onion chopped, and a homemade spice mix that I put in my chili. I'm going to break down the spices one by one. So in my spice mix, I use chili powder, garlic powder, cumin, smoked paprika, oregano, black pepper, and bay leaves. And you can find the exact ingredients for this spice mix on apocalicious.com in this blog post. And I actually really like spice, so I put in a bit of hot sauce. And then for a little bit of umami, I put in a soy sauce or a soy sauce replacer like coconut aminos. And of course, salt. Okay, so let's move over to the stove. I'm going to start by heating up about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a medium-sized pot. And I just want that to get pretty hot, so I have it on medium-high heat. I'm going to add the chopped onion in, and then I'm just going to sweat the onion slowly over medium heat until all the onion pieces are translucent and are starting to caramelize a little bit, so turning a little bit brown. But you can take this step a bit further if you'd like. The more you caramelize the onions, the more flavor they're going to impart. You want to make sure that you don't burn them, but a slow caramelization is usually optimal to bring out the best flavor in your dish. So I did this for several minutes. I obviously sped up the footage just because you don't really want to watch me caramelize onions for 10 minutes, although not judging if that's what you're into. But the more patient you are, the better the end product will be. These will give off quite a bit of steam as they cook down, so you can get a nice little facial while you work. When the onions start to look translucent, I add in my spice mix. Sometimes you need to spank it to get what you need. And I just stir the onions well to coat. So what I'm trying to do here is just toast and warm the spices a little bit. It releases some of their volatile oils and makes them a little bit more fragrant and potent. You don't want to burn them though, and that will happen quite easily, so be careful. Then I add in my can of red kidney beans and my lentils. And I just want to heat these up and coat them with the spices and onions. So giving it a good stir steadily for a minute or two, just to warm the beans through before I add the remainder of the chili's ingredients. This also gives the beans a little bit of an opportunity to crisp up and break down a little bit. Then I add in my crushed tomatoes. And again, I just stir this through to make sure that everything is evenly distributed. Now you could eat this just like this if you were in a hurry, but I prefer to slow cook this chili. I add in a little bit of the coconut aminos or soy sauce, depending on what your preferences or what you have on hand. And this just adds an extra dimension of umami flavor to this dish. Tomatoes are loaded with umami, so you really don't have to add it. It just adds an extra salty richness. And then I add in a little bit of hot sauce. Today I'm using a chipotle hot sauce that I have. Just gives it an extra kick and a little bit of a tang. Then I'm adding in some salt. Obviously taste and adjust the salt to your taste, but the soy sauce that I added was already salty, so I didn't want to overdo it. Then I add in coconut milk. Now this is a totally optional step. I just find this makes the chili taste really rich and a bit creamy, which is really nice. If you're familiar with curries, it sort of has that greasy, rich depth of flavor that you can't get if you don't add in that extra fat. If you don't want to use coconut milk, you could use some kind of yogurt. You could also just skip it and have like a more traditional chili. Most chilies don't contain that. It's just how I like it. And now all I'm going to do is let this come to a boil. So this took a couple of minutes for everything to heat through. So again, this is a bit of a waiting game. I just sort of watched it until it was at a rolling boil. Waiting for it to boil is a little bit like waiting for the next episode of your favorite show to be added to Netflix. It smells really, really good and you know it's coming, but you just have to be patient. Speaking of Netflix, what have you been watching these days? I've been watching Ozark, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Tiger King, and a few other shows I can't remember right now. Isn't it funny how that happens? I keep waiting for another great show like Mad Men, but I've just been moderately disappointed with what I've seen so far. How about you? So now that it's boiling, I'm just going to cover it with a lid, lower the heat down to a simmer, and let my OCD take over as I straighten this out. And now all I'm going to do is chill while this chili simmers. And this could be for as little or as long as you like. I left it on for over an hour. You could leave it for the whole day on low heat if you wanted to. Like the longer you simmer it, the more intense the flavor will become, and the more thick the chili will become. And then I just served it on top of some leftover quinoa. And I added a little bit of vegan sour cream that I made to the top. And there you have it. That is our Netflix and chili recipe. Perfect for cozy quarantine nights. Enjoy!